Oh, baby, this is just the beginning. I'm gonna have 30 cars. 30 cars.
Alright, so I'm gonna come out. Finally start drilling some holes in this thing. So I'm gonna start with these, I'm gonna start with the side mirrors. Because I pointed it out in the last video. It's just like the same thing what I did. The Elko mirrors. I don't know if it's different style between different years, even though they look the same. That the spacing on these holes already are too wide. So I'm just gonna have to drill a small hole on the inside of either this one or this one, depending on where I want the window to sit. I know it's not much of a difference, but I think I'm gonna, I don't know if I want to set it farther forward or a little back, so just have to see what looks best. I'm gonna start with that, and I'm gonna come over and start with the, well, I'm gonna finish with the spoiler. I'm gonna take a whole bunch of measurements, probably cover this whole thing with either tape or some type of paper to try to set a template up. I know the packaging came with these things. I think these are guides, so I'm gonna put them where the bolts are, or the bolt holes are, and then they'll stick out of the bottom, and probably tape those down to place so I know where to drill. There'll be 6 holes, so I want to try to do it right, try to make sure everything's lined up, make sure it's straight. Only part I'm concerned about is definitely gonna have to drill a few holes back here. I think the 2 center ones I'll be able to get in between here. Maybe might be able to get 4 of them. I know I'm gonna have to drill 2 more holes towards the outsides. I'm gonna see if I can get away with just the 4, but I am gonna want it secured as much as possible, so I'm probably gonna do all 6. But before I do that, I did adjust the trunk all the way, well, most of the way, so when it's fully closed, it sits flush. But what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get the sander out, and with this body line down the middle, just put a little groove on the spoiler itself in the middle, so it sits a little bit lower. And same thing with the outsides. I'm gonna take this front corner down just a tad bit, just to help it sit a little more flush. And once I figure out where I want all the holes drilled, I'll drill the holes, and I'm gonna paint the spoiler on it. So this is getting color matched, and while I paint that one, I'll paint this drip tray. Paint this drip tray so that it's all uniformed. But that's the plan. Let me start taking some measurements and seeing where I want to drill this. Alright, so pretty much have the trunk tied down for now. It's not exactly closed all the way, but for the most part it should be pretty good. Put a little bit of tape along this back side. So what I'm gonna do next, just start taking measurements about like the gap on this side compared to the other side, right, the gap in between here and the spoiler, and compare it to the other side, and then just try to adjust it. And once I feel like everything's where it's supposed to be, I'm gonna mark it, and then lift the spoiler back up, put those little alignment tabs in each of the holes for the bolts, lay it back down. Well, I guess I should probably put those on now, then adjust everything. And once I feel comfortable that everything's aligned, I'll tape those alignment tabs into place, and then take the spoiler off, and then mark where each hole needs to go, and then slowly just start drilling. I finally found my step bit, so I'll drill just small little holes and then just step it up from there as I need to go on. Alright, so took a little bit off with the Dremel. You can see that gap in between. Well, I'm not sure if you guys can pick up that body line right down the middle, but it sits flush in there now. On the outsides, I took a little bit off, but I think with the shape of it, I'm not gonna mess with it too much because I think there's a slight like bow in there. But on the Monte it's flat, so I'm gonna leave that. But like I said, I did take a little bit off on those front corner pieces, so dust it a little bit lower. And once that tape is in there, it's gonna fill that gap anyway. So that's what that groove looks like. Just a little bit. Wasn't sure how thick the plastic was, so I didn't want to work it too much, but this is gonna be good for me. So next thing to do, I'm gonna put those alignment tabs in and then start adjusting the spoiler to where I need it. So like I said, it's going to try to back it up to this edge right here, and then let that slight curve just go in, and like I said, probably leave about that much on there. I will have to go get some longer bolts, but for now I'm going to use what I have. So we'll make it work, but pretty much where they go. Those alignment tabs, show you what they look like. So just throw them in the holes for the bolts, and once I get it to where I need it to be, I'll probably tape down these edges, and that way when I lift it off, all these holes will be marked where they need to go. So that's how I'm gonna do it. So let me get back to laying it out and go from there. I believe the trunk is pretty much centered, so I'm not worried about that. The center line on the body helps out too, so that's what I'm gonna go off of. Center to center is gonna be that body line. But let me put this down, throw you guys on the time lapse, and I'm gonna get those alignment marks, or those alignment tabs, get them where I need them, and then we'll start drilling. Alright, so here we have it. All these alignment tabs are taped down. So what I'm gonna do next is should have had some tape under it so I could mark it. Alright, so what I did was, there's a little play in there, so before I lifted them up very slightly, I just had a pen and marked where all these tabs were at the bottom if I was worried about them shifting at all. So I was able to mark like where the tabs were and everything, so if it did come up, I'd be able to put it back into place. But just very lightly lifting them up, slid a piece of tape under there, and then marked where they should go. So I'll leave this tape on there and lift everything up, and then just where I have it marked, just find the center between those two lines, and then put a little punch there so I know where to drill. So I'll do it to all 6 of them, and then just probably pick not the smallest, but a pretty small drill bit and start drilling. A little nervous, but it had to be done. So I think all 4 of these ones are drilled out. These ones are just marked up. So go back through, drill these all the way out, and see what it's looking like. Me having to drill the underside. Like I said, I believe that the inner ones, I think those are going to be all pretty close to the holes that are already in the inside of the trunk. I think these outer ones, the other 2, I think they're going to be a little bit of a problem. You know, see how close it is? Now, I already drilled the hole, so I'm going to make it happen, but this last one, like I said, it's going to end up somewhere right around here. So this one's going to be close. I'm going to try to drill this one as small as possible, just because I'm not sure what area will affect on the inside, but that one will be right around here. Now these outside 2 might be the only 2 I have to drill from the inside, because look at this. Where they at? So that one, easy to get to. Same on that side. And check this out. That one and that one, both easy to get to. So I might not even need those plugs. Yeah, so I'm not saying that it was meant to be, but the design is pretty close. So like I said, these last 2, these will be the only 2 that I really have to drill from the inside. Have to open these up a little bit more. And I'm going to see if this hardware that came with it will fit. I thought this trunk was a lot thicker, but I guess not. So I'm going to grab those bolts. Well, I'm about to open these up a little bit more. Let me open these up. I'm going to grab the bolts and then get the spoiler mounted on there. Of course, it'll come right back off just to get it painted, but it's a good feeling knowing that I'm not going to have to drill any crazy holes. Like I said, it's like it was made for it. Drill any crazy holes on the inside of the deck lid. So here we go. Alright, well, I lied. These bolts are way too short, but I just have them placed up there just to make sure everything lined up and everything looks good. But like I was saying, these ones are way too short, so what I have to find is at least something half an inch. But before I run to the store, grab those. I'm gonna scuff this up, prime it, and paint it, along with the drip rail for the firewall. gonna scuff that up, prime it and paint it, and then take all this off and install it. Alright, not gonna show the painting process, just gonna go over how I'm doing it. I already started sanding down with 180 just to get it nice and dull, get all that gloss finish off of it. And I wiped it down with wax and grease remover, and I'll hit it with some adhesion promoter, and I'll hit it with the primer, let that dry, and I'll sand this with 400, and then I'll end up painting it. So I'll have it up over here, have it on this block just so I could get up under this edge a little bit, and then have a zip tied to it so it's not going to fly around anywhere. Alright, that's how I'm going to do it. You see it's all sanded up. It's pretty much where it's somewhat shiny. You just want to dull all that up, and then adhesion promoter, then primer, and then paint. So, well, it's on, painted. Everything looks pretty good. Be honest, I'll probably spend the rest of the night trying to get about 3 more bolts in, because even though everything lines up, well, all the openings are close, just trying to get into them to get the bolts in is a little bit of pain in the butt. So, yeah, I know a lot of people doubted it. Not on my post, but I saw one other guy gonna try it, and he was getting a bunch of hate, but it looks pretty good. I think the trick is you have to color match it. You have to color match it. So it's a pretty big spoiler. I don't think if I would have done it all black, it wouldn't have looked right. It'd have been too much. But with color match, like this gap here, it's not as noticeable. Where if it was just a full black spoiler, I think this gap right here would have been more noticeable. But this is what I'm talking about when I say I'm gonna spend all night. Well, I got fished out about 3 bolts, ended up dropping them. But these openings, yeah, the holes are, you could see them, but pretty much have to have your hand in there at all weird types of angles. So I'm gonna have to fish bolts out and then try to install them all the way. I think if I can, well, what do I have? I'm gonna try to get all 6 of them in. I know these outer 2, I'm about to get a different hole saw because of step bit. I have to get it to about here to get the bolt all the way in. But once it gets about here is when it starts hitting the top of the deck lid. So I'm gonna have to figure something out with that. But let me go ahead and strap the trunk closed, and so I'll give you guys a look at it with everything closed up. That's about as close as I can get it for now until I actually get it latched on and everything. But it works. I know there's a little bit of a gap in between the actual deck lid and the spoiler, but I'm okay with that. I did put that foam padding in there, so it does go alongside the whole thing, which I think helps it out a lot. Get the whole thing in there. But it works. I know I had a couple people, they said they're keeping an eye out for it, seeing how it's going to come together. And I think it works, especially if it's color matched. I had a few people tell me to go black, but I didn't think black would have worked. Like I said, it's a pretty big spoiler. But color matched, it works on there. Like I said, everything's pretty much even on both ends. The gap here, the gap alongside the back, it's all even. As close as I can get it. It might be a little bit off, but not much. I'm still thinking about the wicker bill. I think if I did do the wicker bill, it would set it off a little bit more. Because the wicker bill, that would be black, and then you'd have that clear plastic piece right there. So I might go that route on it, but as far as this one, it had to be color matched. So if y'all thinking about it, it works for me. I like it. Like I said, I know of one other person that was trying it, or at least had a spoiler and put it up to compare it to see. But yeah, I think it looks good. And I know a lot of people say you could get the OEM spoiler for like $100. That's a lie. I haven't seen them for less than $250, $300 in a long time. So this is just a inexpensive alternative. So I say I think I spent maybe $50-$60 for the spoiler itself, and then another $50 for the paint. So I'm talking $100 mod, saves you $200, and it works. It looks good. This one works. Let me know what you guys think. Should I have gone black, or is the color match the way to go? I think the color match is the way to go. Yeah. Yeah, so that's it. Like I said, it's gonna be a job to get all the bolts in. I think I can get them all in. So far I have this middle one, so there's 6 total, so 3 on this side, 3 on that side. I have this middle one, and I think I have this first one in. The outside ones, all I need to do is drill a little bit bigger hole, and those will be easy. Once I drill a bigger hole, they should just slide right in. But the middle ones, and pretty much all the ones towards the middle, are going to be the hard part. But you don't have to drill any more holes in the bottom. Well, you only have to drill 2 holes in the bottom instead of all 6, and it works. It looks good. But that's gonna be it. I'm gonna throw this drip rail on, and that's gonna be a pretty easy install. All you have to do is remove these top bolts. These are the ones that hold it in, not these ones. So I have to remove these 4, and then this little edge right here, you have to pry it up just slightly, because there's a piece and it's supposed to sit in between here, not go in front, not go below it. It's supposed to fit in between there, so you just have to pry this out a little bit, and then that's it. So let me throw that on. I'll throw it on real fast, cut the camera on and show you guys, but the main thing was that. So alright, so there's that drip tray. That's all in. Like I said, you can see it's just sitting in that little crease. Have to bend it up a little bit. I did go through there some white spots and hit it with the last little bit of paint I had, and hit the bolts up there too. So those were black at first. Just hit them with the white. I think it works for it. But I have some extra ones, so if I'm not filling them, I'll just take them out, put the black ones back in. But the drip tray's nice and easy to put on. But I think that's all the white paint so far. I don't think anything else is getting painted white. So yeah, it does make it look a lot better. Just have to put the hose in. There's a hose It goes in and just runs along the side. It drains any water that might get in there. And I think there's a rubber piece that needs to go all along the side. So I don't think I have one of those laying around, but I'll keep an eye out for it. But one last look at the spoiler. As I said, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but I'm pretty sure those people that don't want to spend $300 on a spoiler, this is just another option that's inexpensive. I'm not going to say cheap, it's inexpensive. So it takes a little bit of work to line everything up, but it's not hard and it looks good. Let me know what you guys think. Like I said, just slowly piecing it back together. I know next couple months it's going to be all over the place. Looking for a motor, transmission, pretty much all the stuff that goes in the engine bay. I need to find, need to order the locks, the handles, and just small stuff. Still need to order stuff, find stuff, and finish putting it back together. So it's gonna be all over the place. I know that. I did touch up the holes so it's not bare metal, but I still have to find the right size bolts for the mirrors. Thought I got the right size. They ended up not fitting, so the mirrors are still on hold for now, but I'm gonna call it a day. It's getting hot. I'm gonna inside relax a little bit before I come back and try to get these bolts on.